I grew up in a home with a father whom, for most of his childhood, did not have a middle name. However, when he turned 18 years old, he was able to choose his own middle name. He chose Jacob. My father chose this name because it was his favorite actor was John Wayne and his favorite movie was Big Jake. I can recall seeing just about every John Wayne film because that was Dad's favorite actor. Being a 10-year-old child, I thought it was my duty to also pick a favorite actor. So I thought intensely about it, and he had to be someone I thought was really funny, someone who I liked watching, and because I wanted to be an actor too at the time, it had to be somebody I thought was a really good actor. So who did I choose? Well, here are some hints. Here's some lines. All my life, I've been waiting for someone, and when I find her, she's a fish. It was a million tiny little things that when you add them all up, they meant we were supposed to be together, and I knew it. There's no crying in baseball. And lastly, life is like a box of chocolates. Say it with me. You never know which ones you're going to get. Obviously, by now, you know I chose Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, better known as Tom Hanks. When I was 10 years old, I admired Mr. Hanks. He was making one funny movie after another, and for me, he was my favorite the first time I saw Big. This movie was about a grown up acting like a kid, and it was so much fun to watch. After Big, he had a ton of funny movies Turner and Hooch, Joe versus the Volcano, The Burbs, and A League of Their Own. Finally, film after film, I liked his work more and more. He was a great comedian, and I was drawn to his work. When I was in the sixth grade, our teacher gave us an assignment, and the assignment was to write a letter to our hero, and she assured me that she would mail it. So, although I don't recall the exact contents of the letter, I remember writing to him and telling him that I thought he would have made a great Dick Tracy, because Dick Tracy at the time was my favorite movie. I also invited him over for dinner that weekend, and unfortunately never got a response back. So, additionally, I also recall being at a family gathering and my aunt asking me what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I told her I wanted to be an actor. And she said, "Oh, really? So, who is your favorite actor?" And I said, "Oh, it's Tom Hanks." Well, she smiled at me and she said, "Oh, yeah, he's a funny guy." However, I knew that he was much more than just a funny guy. I had my hunch that he would be more than that. And my hunch was correct when he won his first Academy Award for Philadelphia. Although the film had some controversial subject matter at the time, there was no doubt that Tom Hanks gave an outstanding performance as AIDS victim Andrew Beckett. I saw the movie years later when I was grown up, but even to this day, I am empathetic towards those who have the disease from that movie. Also, many actors are proud of their Oscar. It's a rarity to win one. Therefore, they display it proudly in their home, and they obviously put it on their resume. However, Tom Hanks has the accolade of being only the second actor to win a back-to-back Oscar. This was for his unforgettable performance as Forrest Gump. The only other actor to do this was Spencer Tracy, who did it in 1937 and 1938. And the interesting thing is that both Tom Hanks and Spencer Tracy were 37 when they won their first Academy Award, and they were 38, both 38 when they won their second Academy Award. So over the years, Tom Hanks has proven he's a phenomenal actor. He's been nominated for 13 Academies and Golden Globe Awards, and out of those 13, he has won 7 for films like Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, and Charlie Wilson's War. And who can forget some of his unforgettable roles, such as Sheriff Woody, Joe Fox in You've Got Mail, and Jim Lovell in Apollo 13. Within the entertainment industry, he is a well-respected man and produces A-plus quality films. And not many can argue that Tom Hanks is a good actor, if not a great actor. And personally, for me, his films bring delight and comfort. I can recall several occurrences in my life where I've come across some personal struggles, and some of the simplest lines from his films have stuck out to me. For example, in Philadelphia, he says when he's looking for one of his cases, he says every problem has a solution, and that's just a simple statement that he makes, but I just remember it so much in my life that every time I come across a problem or something I need to troubleshoot, at home or at work, I say that to myself. Every problem has a solution. And sure enough, every problem does have a solution. Also, additionally, a few years ago, I was laid off from my previous employer. I worked for a government agency, and due to some state budget cuts, I was laid off by seniority with 45 other employees. After we all received the news, the attitude around our office was bleak, and the morale in the place was very depressing because none of us knew what we were going to do after we were done working and what we were going to do for the next several days, knowing that our jobs were quickly coming to an end. So that night, I went home and I did what I usually do, which when I'm feeling down or I just need a mindless way to unwind, is I put in a Tom Hanks movie. And so that particular night, I just chose to watch Castaway. And while watching the movie and experiencing Tom's character, Chuck Nolan, survive on a desert island for 5 years, I heard a monologue that stirred my heart. And it impacted me so much that the next day I got up, and when I was at work, I emailed the words from that monologue to every one of my colleagues who were getting laid off. So the scene from that movie takes place in a hotel room after he gets off the island and he's rescued. He's saved and he returns back home to his friends and family in Memphis, Tennessee. Upon doing that, he discovers that his longtime girlfriend is married now. And again, he's feeling heartbroken and destitute, like he's on the island all over again. He has a close friend come over, and just through tears, he talks to his friend, and here's some of the words that he says to her. He says, "We both added it up. Kelly had to let me go, and I knew I had to let her go. I'd lost her because I was never going to get off that island. I was totally alone, and I was going to get sick or get injured, and never going. And the only choice I had, the only thing I could control, was when and how or where that was going to happen. So I made a rope and I went up to the summit to hang myself. And of course, I had to test it, you know me. And the weight of the log snapped the limb of the tree. I couldn't even kill myself the way I wanted to. I had power over nothing. That's when this feeling came over me like a warm blanket. I knew somehow that I had to stay alive. Somehow I had to keep breathing, even though there was no reason to hope. And all my logic said I would never see this place again. So that's what I did. I stayed alive, I kept breathing, and one day all that logic was proven wrong because the tide came in and gave me a sail. And now here I am. I'm back in Memphis, Tennessee, talking to you. I have ice in my glass, and I've lost her all over again. I'm so sad that I don't have Kelly, but I'm so grateful that she was with me on that island. And I know now what I have to do. I have to keep breathing because tomorrow the sun will rise, and who knows what the tide could bring. Many of my coworkers were encouraged, by that, and I continue to dwell on that, whenever I'm feeling down or need reminding, to not give up on something, just, to keep breathing, to, just see what the next day brings in. Another influence, or one final influence that Tom Hanks had on me, was to return to school. After enrolling at CBU, I was excited to see the movie Larry Crown. By happenstance, it's about Tom Hanks's character returning to school after being laid off from his job. Although the love story was not as strong, the story of his returning to the classroom and pushing forward in his speech class was very encouraging, and it caused me to look forward to furthering my education. Um, so overall, you can see that I'm an admirer of Tom Hanks, not just because he is a phenomenal actor, as he's proven through all of his awards and all the great things he does, but because it brings me personal delight and encouragement, to watch his films and to see, the dramas he does and the comedies he does. And one final statement I have in regards to Tom Hanks is about his personal life. We often hear about celebrity gossip and often about how celebrity mess or marriages that are short, like a day's afternoon. And although Tom Hanks was divorced, or was married and then divorced 9 years later, I'm proud to know that he's married to his wife Rita Wilson, and they've been married for 24 years. It's it makes me proud to see a man who's in his spotlight, devoted to his wife, and devoted to his family, and has been with his wife for that long. So all around, I think Tom Hanks is just a normal guy who loves his family. He is great at his job, and I'm glad to have him doing the career he does because it benefits me in a positive way, just as I hope to benefit others in my career. So for the most part, Tom Hanks portrays characters with that have integrity and they're overcoming unusual adversity. And although I know he is acting, I'm sure much of his work stems from his personal experiences and his desire to be a good man. So it is my hope to see him in heaven. It is my delight to receive the benefits from his work. And I guess may the Lord just richly bless Tom Hanks.